Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. Caden's fingers trembled as he buttoned up his blue cotton shirt, smoothing out the wrinkles with shaky hands. He caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror, noting the worry lines etched across his forehead. Taking a deep breath, he steeled himself for the conversation ahead. Downstairs, his wife Linda was preparing breakfast, the aroma of coffee and bacon wafting through the air. Their adult children, Emma and Michael, sat at the kitchen table, engrossed in their phones. Caden's stomach churned as he entered the room, his presence causing a momentary lull in the morning chatter. "Morning, everyone," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Linda turned, spatula in hand, and offered a warm smile. "Good morning, honey. Breakfast is almost ready." Caden nodded, unable to return her smile. He cleared his throat and said, "Actually, there's something important I need to discuss with all of you." The serious tone in his voice caught their attention. Emma and Michael looked up from their devices, exchanging confused glances. "Is everything okay, Dad?" Emma asked, concern lacing her words. Caden took a seat at the table, his hands clasped tightly in front of him. I've been struggling with something for a very long time, and I think it's finally time I share it with you all." Linda turned off the stove and joined them at the table, her brow furrowed with worry. "What is it, Caden? You're scaring us." He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and opened them again, meeting each of their gazes in turn. "I'm transgender," he said, his voice cracking slightly. "I've known for as long as I can remember, but I've been too afraid to admit it, even to myself." A heavy silence fell over the kitchen. Emma's mouth hung open in shock, while Michael's eyes widened in surprise. Linda sat perfectly still, her expression unreadable. Caden's heart pounded in his chest as he waited for their reactions. The silence stretched on, becoming almost unbearable, until Emma finally broke it. "Dad, I don't know what to say," she began, her voice soft and hesitant. "But I want you to know that I love you no matter what." Michael nodded in agreement, reaching out to place a hand on Caden's arm. "Yeah, Dad, we're here for you." Caden felt tears welling up in his eyes, overwhelmed by the unexpected support from his children. He turned to Linda, who had remained silent throughout the exchange. Linda's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she reached across the table and took Caden's hand in hers. "I had no idea you were carrying this burden for so long," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for trusting us enough to share this. We love you and will support you through this journey." Relief washed over Caden like a tidal wave. He squeezed Linda's hand, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. The fear of rejection that had haunted him for so long began to dissipate, replaced by a cautious hope for the future. As the days passed, the family adjusted to the new reality. Caden found the courage to seek medical help for his transition, buoyed by the unwavering support of his loved ones. He scheduled appointments with therapists and doctors, taking the first steps towards aligning his physical appearance with his true identity. However, the transition process wasn't without its challenges. The hormone therapy brought about physical and emotional changes that affected not only Caden, but the entire family dynamic. Mood swings and physical discomfort became a regular part of life, testing the patience and understanding of everyone involved. One evening, as Caden and Linda sat on the porch swing, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Linda broke the comfortable silence between them. "Caden, I need to talk to you about something," she said, her voice gentle but firm. Caden turned to face her, noting the serious expression on her face. "What is it, Linda?" She took a deep breath, her eyes meeting his. "I want you to know that I love you and I always will, but I think we need to consider the possibility of divorce." The words hit Caden like a physical blow. He felt the air leave his lungs as he struggled to process what she had said. Divorce? But why? I thought you were supportive of my transition. Linda's eyes filled with tears as she explained, "I am supportive, Caden, but this isn't just about your transition. It's about our relationship and how it's changing. I'm realizing that I'm not attracted to women, and as you become more comfortable in your true identity, I'm struggling to see you as my husband." Caden felt a mix of emotions washing over him: sadness, anger, fear, and a strange sense of understanding. He knew that his transition would bring changes, but he hadn't fully considered how it would affect Linda's feelings towards him. I understand," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never wanted to hurt you, Linda. You've been my rock through all of this." Linda squeezed his hand, her voice thick with emotion. "And I'll continue to be your friend and support you. But I think we both deserve the chance to find happiness with partners who can fully love us for who we are." They sat in silence for a while, watching as the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the horizon. Despite the pain of the moment, Caden felt a sense of respect and gratitude towards Linda for her honesty. "What do we tell the kids?" Caden asked, breaking the silence. Linda sighed. "We'll tell them together. They're adults now, and I think they'll understand. The most important thing is that we remain a family, even if our roles are changing." In the following weeks, Caden and Linda worked together to navigate the complexities of their changing relationship. They informed Emma and Michael about their decision to divorce, emphasizing that it was a mutual decision based on love and respect for each other. The news was met with a mix of sadness and understanding from their children. Emma and Michael expressed their support for both parents, recognizing the courage it took to make such a difficult decision. As Caden continued his transition journey, he felt a growing need to share his truth with his brothers, Mark and David. He invited them over for dinner one evening, his nerves on edge as he prepared to have another life-changing conversation. The brothers arrived, exchanging hugs and pleasantries as they always did. As they settled around the dining table, Caden took a deep breath and began to speak. "Mark, David, there's something important I need to tell you," he said, his voice wavering slightly. "I'm transgender. I've been living as a man all my life, but I've always known that I'm a woman inside." Mark and David exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of surprise and confusion. Mark was the first to speak, his voice cautious. "Wow, Caden, that's unexpected. How long have you known?" Caden explained his lifelong struggle, the fear of rejection that had kept him silent for so long, and his recent decision to transition. As he spoke, he could see his brothers processing the information, their initial shock gradually giving way to concern and support. David leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "This must have been incredibly difficult for you to keep hidden all these years. I'm sorry you felt you couldn't tell us sooner." Mark nodded in agreement. "We're here for you, Caden. It might take some time for us to fully understand and adjust, but you're our sibling, and we love you no matter what." Caden felt a wave of relief wash over him. He hadn't realized how much he'd been holding back until that moment. "Thank you both," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Your support means everything to me." As the evening progressed, the brothers talked openly about Caden's plans for the future, asking questions and offering their support. By the time they left, Caden felt a renewed sense of connection with his siblings, grateful for their acceptance and understanding. In the months that followed, Caden began the process of medical transition. He started hormone replacement therapy, watching with a mix of excitement and apprehension as his body began to change. Curves replaced angular lines, and his facial features began to soften. As the physical changes became more noticeable, Caden made the decision to change his name. After much consideration, he chose the name Tiffany, feeling that it reflected the person she had always been inside. Tiffany's first day presenting as herself in public was both exhilarating and terrifying. She stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of her floral blouse and smoothing down her skirt. Her hands trembled slightly as she applied a light coat of lipstick, still getting used to the feel of makeup on her face. Linda, true to her word about remaining friends, was there to offer support. She helped Tiffany style her growing hair and offered reassurance when self-doubt crept in. "You look beautiful, Tiffany," Linda said, giving her a warm smile. "Are you ready for this?" Tiffany took a deep breath, meeting her own gaze in the mirror. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, her voice a mix of nervousness and determination. They stepped out into the world together, Tiffany feeling both exposed and liberated. As they walked down the street, she braced herself for stares or negative comments, but found that most people simply went about their day, paying her no more attention than anyone else. There were moments of discomfort. A confused look from a neighbor, a double take from the barista at the local coffee shop. But overall, Tiffany was surprised by how anticlimactic the experience felt. She realized that much of her fear had been in her own mind, a product of years of internalized anxiety. As the weeks turned into months, Tiffany's confidence grew. She began to fully embrace her identity, no longer feeling like she was playing a role or hiding her true self. Her relationships with her children deepened as they got to know the authentic version of their parent. Emma and Michael, though initially struggling with the pronoun change, made a conscious effort to support Tiffany. They organized family dinners and outings, creating new memories and traditions that celebrated their evolving family dynamic. One sunny afternoon, as Tiffany sat in the park with Emma, watching children play on the nearby playground, her daughter turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Mom," Emma said, the words still feeling new on her tongue, "I want you to know how proud I am of you. It couldn't have been easy to come out and transition at this stage in your life." Tiffany felt a lump form in her throat, touched by her daughter's words. "Thank you, sweetheart. Your support has meant the world to me." Emma reached out and squeezed Tiffany's hand. "I've been thinking, would you like to go shopping together sometime? Maybe we could pick out some new outfits for you." Tiffany's face lit up with joy. "I'd love that, Emma. It would mean so much to me." As Tiffany continued her transition journey, she faced new challenges and milestones. She began to research gender confirmation surgeries, weighing the risks and benefits of various procedures. The decision-making process was daunting, but she felt empowered by the knowledge that she was finally taking control of her life and body. Throughout it all, her family remained a constant source of support. Linda, though no longer her wife, continued to be a close friend and confidant. They navigated the complexities of co-parenting and maintaining a friendship post-divorce, setting an example of mutual respect and understanding for their children. Tiffany's brothers, Mark and David, made efforts to educate themselves about transgender issues, asking thoughtful questions and offering their support in practical ways. They helped Tiffany update her legal documents and stood by her side when she came out to extended family members. As Tiffany's physical appearance continued to change, she found herself having to navigate new social situations. She joined a support group for transgender individuals, finding comfort and camaraderie among people who understood her experiences firsthand. One evening, as Tiffany prepared for a group meeting, she stood in front of her closet, deliberating over what to wear. She pulled out an emerald green dress she had recently purchased, but hadn't had the courage to wear yet. Taking a deep breath, she slipped it on, marveling at how the fabric hugged her body in all the right places. As she applied her makeup, Tiffany caught sight of her reflection in the mirror. For the first time in her life, she truly recognized herself. The person staring back at her was no longer a stranger wearing an ill-fitting mask, but the woman she had always known herself to be. Tears welled up in her eyes as a sense of peace washed over her. The journey had been long and often difficult, but in that moment, Tiffany knew without a doubt that it had all been worth it. She arrived at the meeting feeling confident and at ease in her own skin. As she shared her story with the group, Tiffany realized how far she had come. The fear and shame that had once consumed her had given way to pride and self-acceptance. After the meeting, as Tiffany walked to her car, she bumped into an old colleague, Tom, whom she hadn't seen in years. There was a moment of awkward recognition before Tom's eyes widened in surprise. "Caden?" he asked hesitantly. "Is that you?" Tiffany took a deep breath, steeling herself for the conversation ahead. "Actually, it's Tiffany now," she said, her voice steady and sure. "I've transitioned." Tom's expression shifted from confusion to understanding. "Oh, I see," he said, nodding slowly. "Well, it's good to see you, Tiffany. You look happy." Tiffany felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you, Tom. I am happy. Happier than I've ever been, actually." As they chatted for a few minutes, catching up on each other's lives, Tiffany marveled at how natural it felt to be herself in front of someone from her past. The conversation flowed easily, and when they parted ways, Tom gave her a warm smile and a genuine, "Take care, Tiffany." Driving home that evening, Tiffany reflected on how much her life had changed in the past year. The road ahead still held challenges, surgeries to consider, potential discrimination to face, and the ongoing process of rebuilding her life as her authentic self. But for the first time, Tiffany felt truly equipped to handle whatever came her way. She thought about her family, Linda, Emma, Michael, Mark, and David, and how their love and support had given her the strength to embrace her true identity. Though their relationships had shifted and changed, the bonds between them had only grown stronger through this journey. As Tiffany pulled into her driveway, she saw Emma's car parked out front. Her daughter had texted earlier, asking if she could come over to talk. Tiffany felt a flutter of excitement, looking forward to sharing the events of her evening with Emma. Inside, she found Emma curled up on the couch, a mug of tea in her hands. "Hi, Mom," she said, smiling as Tiffany entered the room. "How was your meeting?" Tiffany sat down beside her daughter, recounting the evening's events, the support group, the encounter with Tom, and the overall sense of peace she had felt. As she spoke, she could see Emma's eyes shining with pride and love. "I'm so happy for you, Mom," Emma said, reaching out to squeeze Tiffany's hand. "You deserve all this happiness." Tiffany felt her heart swell with emotion. "Thank you, sweetheart. Your support has meant everything to me through all of this." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Emma spoke again, her voice hesitant. "Mom, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. I've been thinking a lot about your journey, and it's made me realize some things about myself." Tiffany turned to face her daughter fully, giving her undivided attention. "What is it, Emma?" Emma took a deep breath, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "I think I might be bisexual. I've been struggling with these feelings for a while, but seeing your courage in coming out has inspired me to be honest about who I am too." Tiffany felt a rush of emotions, surprise, pride, and an overwhelming sense of love for her daughter. Without hesitation, she pulled Emma into a tight embrace. "Oh, Emma, thank you for trusting me with this. I love you, and I'm so proud of you for being true to yourself." As they held each other, both mother and daughter shedding tears of relief and joy, Tiffany marveled at the unexpected ways in which her journey had touched the lives of those around her. Her decision to live authentically had created a ripple effect, encouraging others to embrace their own truths. In that moment, surrounded by the love and acceptance of her family, Tiffany knew that she had made the right choice. The road ahead might not always be easy, but with the support of her loved ones and the strength she had discovered within herself, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the night wore on, Tiffany and Emma continued to talk, sharing their experiences and fears, and reaffirming their love and support for each other. It was a new chapter in their relationship, one built on mutual understanding and respect. When Emma finally left for the night, Tiffany stood in the doorway, watching her daughter drive away. She felt a sense of peace settle over her, knowing that her journey had not only allowed her to find herself, but had also created a space for others to do the same. Tiffany closed the door and leaned against it, a smile playing on her lips. She thought about the long road that had led her to this moment, the years of hiding, the fear of rejection, the difficult conversations, and the profound joy of finally being true to herself. She walked to her bedroom, catching sight of herself in the full-length mirror. The emerald green dress still hugged her curves, and her makeup, though slightly smudged from the emotional evening, highlighted her features beautifully. But it was the confidence in her posture, the light in her eyes, that truly made her shine. Tiffany ran her hands down the sides of the dress, appreciating how it made her feel. She thought about all the years she had spent wearing clothes that felt like a costume, always slightly uncomfortable, always slightly wrong. Now, every outfit was a celebration of her true self. As she began to get ready for bed, Tiffany's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Michael, asking if she was free for lunch the next day. She quickly replied, feeling a surge of warmth at the thought of spending time with her son. Lying in bed that night, Tiffany reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. She thought about the little boy who had always felt out of place, the man who had lived a life of quiet desperation, and the woman who had finally emerged, butterfly-like, into the world. She thought about the challenges that still lay ahead, the ongoing medical procedures, the potential for discrimination in the workplace and society at large, the continuous process of educating others about her identity. But for the first time in her life, these challenges didn't feel insurmountable. She had faced her greatest fear, rejection from her loved ones, and had come out the other side stronger and more loved than ever. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.